Jordan Henderson has been stripped of his squad status after an explosive confrontation with Declan Rice during a closed training session, and England's entire midfield hierarchy just collapsed weeks before the World Cup. It wasn't just a disagreement. It wasn't a tactical debate. It wasn't something that could be smoothed over with a handshake. This is serious. Nothing like this has ever happened to a vice-captain days before a World Cup opener. And there's a detail the FA still hasn't confirmed publicly that makes this even worse. The worst part? It hasn't even fully leaked yet. Over the next few minutes, you're going to understand exactly what happened on that training pitch and why this changes everything for England's chances in North America. You're Thomas Tuchel. Your midfield is aging. Your future is young. They collide in practice. What do you do? Because that's precisely what happened on Thursday morning behind closed doors, and by evening, one of England's most experienced players was gone. When this happens, weeks before a World Cup, it's not just any internal problem. It fractures the dressing room, it questions the manager's authority, and it forces every player to pick a side. And here's what makes this so serious. The behind the scenes of this is worse than what's been reported so far. According to sources close to the training camp, tensions between Henderson and Rice have been building for months, but they erupted during a small-sided possession drill. 7 versus 7, both operating as pivot midfielders. This is where it started. Rice played a pass that Henderson didn't anticipate. Simple enough on the surface, but Henderson gestured in complaint. The kind of movement that says, "Where were you?" Rice responded verbally. Not a quiet word, not something between them. Sources familiar with what happened say Rice made a comment dismissive in tone, something about old legs not keeping up. Henderson stepped closer. Then a shove. Both men squared up for a moment that felt like an eternity in that training pitch. The whistle blew. The entire squad froze. Nobody moved. Tuchel just stared. Henderson was called to the sideline. The manager spoke to him quietly for 3 minutes. Henderson nodded, walked to the dressing room, and never came back to that session. By evening, word had filtered through to media contacts. He'd been removed from the squad list. But this didn't come out of nowhere. The tension between Jordan Henderson and Declan Rice has been simmering for 2 years now, and it's rooted in completely different philosophies about how English football should be played. Henderson, a veteran shaped by Liverpool's intensity and control, believes in experience and measured decision-making in midfield. Rice, built by Arsenal's recent success, pushes for press-heavy vertical football and athleticism. In recent training camps, Tuchel has leaned toward Rice's approach. And that's where it gets even more serious, because Henderson has been slower in matches. Age is showing. Rumors circulated weeks ago that his place was under review. He played 62 minutes in the last friendly, benched for the second half. Jude Bellingham watched this unfold silently. Kobbie Mainoo watched it unfold silently. Everyone in that dressing room knew where this was heading. Hold on, because the most controversial detail nobody's talking about yet. A coaching staff member allegedly told Tuchel that during the confrontation, Henderson mentioned loyalty. He said something about younger players being chosen over him despite his years of service. That word, loyalty, it changes the entire narrative. This wasn't just about positioning or tactics. This was about respect. This was about a 33-year-old captain's worth being questioned. On one side, you have Henderson's allies, the older generation, players who've shared a dressing room with him for years, who know what he brings beyond statistics. On the other side, you have Rice's supporters arguing that England's midfield needs urgency, needs athleticism, needs to move forward. And in the middle, you have players like Jude Bellingham and Kobbie Mainoo, who aren't saying anything publicly, but who are weighing everything, calculating where the power actually lies now. The reactions have split the dressing room instantly. Harry Kane, who's captained alongside Henderson's leadership, hasn't made a public statement, but people close to him say he's conflicted. Removing a vice-captain this close to a tournament is unprecedented territory. Declan Rice's position remains unchanged. Sources suggest he feels vindicated, that this proves Tuchel backs younger, dynamic midfielders. On social media, fans exploded into two camps. Some are calling it disrespect to a leader, a veteran being abandoned for youth. Others argue form is temporary, standards are permanent, and no player, not even a vice-captain, can undermine authority in front of the squad. The FA issued a bland statement about internal matters being handled appropriately. The press is hungry for more. Mobile phone videos from nearby players might exist. If they leak, if that audio surfaces, it could completely shift public sympathy. Now, Thomas Tuchel is caught between two impossible decisions. If he keeps Henderson in the squad, the message to Rice and every younger player is that seniority trumps form and that the manager cannot enforce discipline. But if he removes him permanently, and the clock is ticking because the squad list finalizes 48 hours before departure, and England's opening match is June 7th, 2026, then he loses a calming midfield voice during the group stage when nerves are highest. Henderson's removal opens space for Elliot Anderson or even Kobbie Mainoo to rotate with Rice, reshaping midfield balance entirely. England's entire tactical approach could shift, and that's what Tuchel has to decide right now. The weight of what just happened is undeniable. England's leadership structure is fractured and a World Cup is weeks away. Look, this is far from over. This is the information circulating right now. Over the next few hours, new details should drip out, and they could turn this entire story upside down. Over to you. Is Tuchel right to enforce discipline and move forward with youth? Or has England just abandoned a leader it desperately needs in a World Cup? Write it down below. And if you don't want to find out about the next bombshell after everyone else, subscribe and turn on notifications now. Because when this fully blows up, you'll want to be the first to know, not the last.